This is probably something I should have talked about already. Um, I don't know how you got into my house, but you may as well make yourself comfortable. Let's have a chat. So, the thing I haven't talked about yet that I probably should have is who is this channel, this podcast for? It's not for. I guess let's talk about who it's not for. It's not for um, not parents. Although, if you are like a guardian for somebody, I suppose this could also work for you. Um, it's not for kids. It's not for teens, unless you're a teen parent, in which case you might still find some wisdom from me. Although, realistically speaking, we're not talking about Gen Z stuff. We're not talking about Gen X stuff. We're not talking about Boomer stuff. This is kind of for uh, the coming of age millennial, I guess you could say. Those of us who are just settling into a family, just settling into a house, a career, uh, or those of us kind of looking to do those things. That's who this podcast is really for. And I'm not talking about just this episode. And that's also like this whole channel. It's not for everybody. Uh, it's for those of us who are kind of not like the young millennials who got kind of shit on by mainstream media and the boomers and all that, early on. It's not for that. It's also not necessarily for the older millennials, like the oldest end of the millennials who are probably already pretty well settled and kind of have their stuff together. This is for those of us, let's say, okay, so I'm 34. Am I 34? Yeah, I'm 34. I'll be 35 this year. Um, don't mind me. But this is for those of us kind of mid 30s, early 30s, maybe even late 20s, but realistically, probably early to mid 30s, maybe just slightly later, who are trying to get their stuff together. And I say that because we're kind of in that age and the mentality where we're finally willing and have the time to start building on ourselves and really fixing ourselves, right? We were raised by this group of people who tried their best, but they had really shit information, and a lot of us are kind of damaged for it. And I'm sure that this cycle has been repeated from generation to generation. It's not a new thing. But what it is an opportunity for us to kind of sit down and chat about where we can go from here. For me, a lot of you who are new have come here because you've seen me meditating every night, which I'm still doing. I'm halfway through my personal meditation challenge. And when that 30 days is up, it's not like I'm going to stop meditating. I'm going to move on to uh, ideally more forms of meditation. I'm still going to continue doing the meditations I'm doing, but I want to work into kind of like the yoga meditation. I think that would be really neat. I've done yoga in the past, but like it was it was in it was for a team in Colorado Springs. So it wasn't just like I went there on my own fruition to have this kind of spiritual journey and to kind of find myself. I went there because I was with a team and it was something that we were going to do for a workout and just to kind of de-stress. And while I really enjoyed it, it wasn't for me at the time. But now it now is that time. Anyway, so I'm going to keep doing the meditations. I'm just going to move into different forms of meditation. I'm really into the idea of learning what people are talking about when they talk about the Akashic records. I want to learn about people like chakras and what people think about that. But that's also not to say that we are strictly going to be meditation and meditation focused. That is just a part of the overall mental health for those of us in our age group. I've struggled with mental health most of my life, and it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse as my life has gone on. And now I'm at this point in my life where it's affecting my health, my physical health, that I know that I need to start really kind of reining this back and trying to get this machine back in focus. Let's re-grease the wheels and, work on the circuitry a little bit and try to get this as fine-tuned as possible. I'm never going to be that high performance kid that I was, but I want to be that high performance brain that I've always wanted to be, if that makes sense. And one of the ways that people have mentioned for ages now is through meditation. So that's why I'm focusing on that at the beginning here. But back to who this channel's for, and I mentioned parents, specifically dads, because I'm a dad. I can relate to dads most, but parents in general. That's who this is really for. It's showing you that we have the time, or we can make the time for ourselves to get in a little bit of meditation, just take a little bit of time for us to work on ourselves. And part of my mental health journey at this point in my life is being open with others about my struggles, and that is to include my kids. So what I want to talk about today, beyond the past couple minutes about who this is for, is how do I bring up this topic of my mental health with kids? Because mental health it's an important topic. It affects everyone, including your kids. And as a parent, it's essential to talk to your kids about your mental health issues. And it helps you to build trust, helps you to provide support, and helps them develop the healthy coping strategies. You are their model, right? So you might be worried about how to approach the subject, what to say, or how your child is going to react. Today, I'm hoping that we can discuss some essential tips on how to talk to your kids about your mental health issues. And these tips will help you have an open and honest conversation with your kids and provide them, the reassurance and the support, and help them understand and cope with your mental health struggles so that they might understand it themselves a little bit better. Because like I said, we are the models for our kids. They look up to us for everything that they do. And, for me growing up, I saw my dad struggle with mental health, but he would never admit it. It wasn't until I was older and I started having my own outward struggles with mental health that he finally opened up and was like, yeah, I'm taking this medication and that medication, and I'm seeing this doctor. Maybe you could go see him too. And it's still not like a full admission as to exactly what's going on. I have my theories, but he's pretty closeted about it. He knows that we all know that he's got mental health issues, and he's admitted to that, but he won't say exactly what it is. And I'm not on this platform to out him by any means. And I'm not here to try to guess about what's going on with him. I don't want to bring my parents really into this too much, except as maybe examples of how I was brought up and the conversations that surrounded my mental health as a kid, and how I think that we should approach it now. So I guess without further ado, let's roll into these tips that I've got. So first thing, choose an appropriate time and place for this conversation. Talking to your kids about mental health requires privacy and peace and an uninterrupted conversation. You don't want to be having this in the middle of McDonald's, although I don't know, you can have some pretty private conversations in the middle of a pretty busy place. Sometimes the middle of public is a very private place, but what I'm talking about is a place that they feel comfortable. And maybe that is McDonald's, who am I to say? But for me, it'd be more like sitting down in the kids' room and having a chat with them. Or my kids really love my bedroom, and I'm sure if you have kids, they really love your bedroom too. They feel safe that they can come in and snuggle when they're having dreams, etc. So choosing a private, uninterrupted place would really help. So like avoid places like shopping malls or uh, restaurants. You know, just a place and a time that makes sense. Like, don't just wake them up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. Like, hey, we got to talk about my mind. Uh, Make sure that it's a time that makes sense too. Um, Probably not right after you guys have had an argument. Although, if you want to have a conversation shortly after you guys have had an argument that really showcased your mental health issues, you'd be like, listen, here's why I behaved the way I did. And I want you to understand that this isn't just about things that you did, this is about things that are going on with me too. Another important thing, so number two, use age appropriate language. My kids right now, they're 5 and 7 plus one on the way. I'm not going to talk to them the same way I would to my friends or to my doctor. Like, I'm not going to use the same words, especially because sometimes I just want to swear for a while. And as funny as it is to listen to kids swear, it's not something that you need to have them doing. Um, Unless you have your own rules for that. My sister-in-law has a rule that they can only swear in the car, so her kids can't wait to get into the car sometimes. Uh, Avoid using technical terms or jargon that might confuse them. So, if you were to say, like for me, I've got depression with generalized anxiety disorder and I have a panic disorder, I might instead say, sometimes I just feel a little bit down. I feel a little blue or sad. And also sometimes I get a little jittery. I get a little anxious. I worry about things a bit too much. And sometimes that worry leads into like a full blown panic. And it makes me feel like the world is closing in and like the world is ending. And that's what so sometimes I have a hard time not coking coping. I don't do coke. I don't Coca Cola. I promise. Um. So yeah, just use simple, clear language with them. They're kids. They're your kids. You know what they'll understand, what they won't. You can even relate it to like their favorite characters that they have in their different TV shows. Like, um, my kids have been really big into the Sonic movies lately, and I know that sometimes in the movies, uh, Donut Lord gets pretty upset with Sonic, and so does his wife. And we can relate to their emotions and how they feel, and make them feel kind of relate to them that way. Because like my kids wish they were Sonic, they run around the house like they wish like they were Sonic. So relating to them that way really helps. So using just that age appropriate language. Another thing, number three, be honest and straightforward. Don't kind of dance around the bush. Be open and honest about your mental health issues. Explain to your child what you're going through and how it affects you, what you're doing to manage it, and how this affects them. Now you don't need to go into exactly like this. I'm taking this medication. I take it 3 times a day. I take another one twice a day or whatever. They don't care about that. But letting them know that like you go to a therapist or you talk to your doctor about these things, that lets them know it's okay to talk to somebody else about it too. And it opens up the idea to them that it would be okay for me to talk to somebody about it. And there's other people I can go to if I don't feel like talking to mom and dad about it, and that's okay too. And if you can help them find the right resources for that, amazing. When you're talking about it, try to remember to be straightforward. Like I said, don't kind of meander around everything, but make sure that you stay calm and composed. You're talking about something that is very um what's the word? Sensitive. What? You're talking about a very sensitive subject for you, and it might make you feel kind of pent up and like you want to, just kind of crawl out of your own skin and get upset. And do your best not to do that. I mean, I understand that that might be part of your mental illness, but kind of explain to them, like, that's what's going on. Uh, your kids are going to kind of go with your vibe. They're going to vibe with you. So if you're able to have a nice, calm, clear conversation with them, it's going to be just all the better for you guys. If you start uh, getting into the conversation and you start breaking down or getting upset, they're going to feed off of that too, and then your conversation is just going to devolve into another argument. So it's not it's counterproductive if you do that. So remember to stay calm. Discuss your feelings with your kids so that they can better understand what you're going through. You know, just be clear with them. If you're feeling upset, tell them you're upset. If you're feeling sad, let them know that you're sad. Again, make sure that it's in words and phrases that they understand, but just be open and honest with them. Let them know that it's normal to feel anxious or sad or even worried when loved one like you, that this is me, that's you, are struggling with your mental health issues. Number 4, explain that it's not their fault. You've heard this advice when you talk to, or when you hear people talk about divorce, like, make sure the kids know that it's not their fault that mom and dad are getting a divorce. Explain that your mental health issues are not their fault either. They're not responsible for your struggles. Explain mental health issues aren't caused by something that your kids did or didn't do, and emphasize that they're not responsible for fixing your mental health situation. Now, if your kids are super sweet, kind of like mine are sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, they might want to try to help you. They might want to try to bring you things that you like. They might want to try to make you smile, and that's awesome. But make sure that they know it's not their responsibility, right? You're still the parent. You're still the one taking care of them. And while they do, it is great that they want to help you. Make sure that they know that it's not their part, and it's not their fault. That'd be terrible. That'd be devastating to tell your child that you are the reason I'm upset. Uh, a key thing for a lot of new mothers, and, even with repeat kids, but I mean, like, just like postpartum, is postpartum depression. Even if you go through that, which also, by the way, I learned that like 1 in 10 men, who have kids. Let's rephrase that because that's a whole different kind of topic. 1 in 10 new fathers also can get postpartum depression, and I didn't, like, I never thought about it. I don't know if maybe it's just because I was already dealing with my own depression, but I never thought about that. So that's something. Anyways, what I mean is, even if the birth of that child is what started your road to depression, don't explain it that way. It's not right. It will be counterproductive. It'll devastate them. Um, you can just let them know that there are things in this life that have happened, or things that in your past that were just really big events that affected you in a way that was just so intense that it still affects you. If you need help figuring out those words, talk to your therapist about it, and talk to a friend about it. Maybe they can just spitball ideas, right? Um, and along with that conversation, the kid's going to ask you questions. So number 5, answer their questions. Kids ask questions about everything, and your mental health issues is going to be one of those things that they're going to want to know all about. Answer them honestly and patiently. Listen to their concerns. If you don't know the answer to that question, tell them you don't know the answer to that question. But make sure that they know that they can talk to you about their feelings and their thoughts, as well as continue to ask you questions and try to understand you. Don't shut them out. Don't close the door on them. Let them know that they can always come back and ask more questions, or, I mean, anything. Just anything to provide that extra bit of comfort and openness, and just that build that relationship of trust Uh, it'll just do so much. Number 6, provide support. So let your child know that you're there to support them and they can talk to you about anything. Their feelings, their events, what's going on, what's stressing them, what's making them happy, everything. Encourage them to express themselves and provide them with the reassurance and the comfort to be just open and honest with you. Encourage them to journal and encourage them to join you in meditation if that's what you guys are doing. Get them involved. If there's something that is really calming to you, it might be really calming to them. Uh, Help them find their peace at the same time. Being patient and understanding with your kid and offering them support and guidance as they need helps them process their emotions a lot better. And I think that we can help the next generation come up happier and more mentally sound and more capable of learning to deal with these things head on before it becomes too big of an issue. And then finally, I've said it a couple times, but seek professional help, right? Consider seeking professional help if your mental health issues are causing significant distress to you or your family. I stress significant. It doesn't need to be all that significant. If you start to see it affecting you or your family, find some help. You can always seek help from a therapist, a psychiatrist, a mental health clinic. There's all sorts of apps out there now that are also full of licensed therapists and whatnot. But there's also there's the Calm app. There's the Headspace app. These are all like meditative apps or just mental health apps that will help you kind of get out of your head for a bit. Encourage your kid to seek help if they need it. So showing that you're getting the help you need will help them get the help that see that they can get the help that they need as well. Let them know there are resources available to them, and soon I'm going to do a video going over some of the resources that I found to help find therapists and psychiatrists and other mental health professionals. That'll be a shorter video, but that is something I do plan to go over soon. Let them know seeking help is a brave and healthy way to take care of themselves. Talking to your kids about mental health issues can be difficult, but it is essential for your family's well-being. It's important to have open and honest communication with your family and your children to build trust and provide support and help them develop healthy coping strategies. Remember, be patient, compassionate, and understanding with your child as they process this information. All right, so that's the majority of the talk that I wanted to have about how to bring up your mental health issues with your kids. I hope it's been at least a little bit helpful for you. If you wouldn't mind, if you found some information you liked out of this video, please hit that like button below. It really helps start to get my name out there. Obviously, this is a brand new channel. This is a brand new channel. It is a brand new challenge as well. I'm struggling, but I'm trying. It's a brand new channel. I'm trying to get my name out there. I'm trying to get this channel out there and get this thing kind of started. But also, if there's anything that you found helpful in your life with talking to your kids, by all means, please leave that in the comments section. Or if you have any questions, leave that in the comments section. I check those pretty regularly, and if there's anything that I can do for anybody, just say something. It never hurts. I'm pretty open about most of the things that I'm going through, so I got no problem talking about just whatever kind of comes up. And thanks for being here, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by.